This is the new Audi A3, and it's a little bit like a Burberry polo shirt. Being a small family hatchback, it's as ubiquitous as a polo shirt, but the design is just a little bit sharper. It's got some snazzy detailing here and there, and of course the brand is desirable. As a result, it is a little bit more expensive than your run-of-the-mill hatchback, so it starts from £23,000, though you can save an average of £1,200 off one through carwow. Now if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can download the carwow app. It's completely free and you can use it to research which car to buy and to see what offers you can get back from our trusted dealers. If you're not looking for a car yourself right now, tell your friends about carwow, because we could save them a ton of cash on their next car.
Buying a new car? Then head to carwow and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start this video by talking about the design. Audi's press office was very keen to tell me how this is the largest roof spoiler fitted to any A3 ever. In fact, it's twice the size as a spoiler on the old A3. Who knew? And who cared, really? Wow. Now, if you get the S-Line model, which this car is, then you get a sportier rear bumper, which I do like the look of, but you then get these fake exhaust pipes, as exposed by the carwow twig of truth. It's a bit of a shame, really, because otherwise I think this is a really cool looking rear end. Down the sides, this car's been inspired by two other vehicles. So the back part here with the haunches is supposed to be like those on the Audi Quattro. Now the rest of it, like the surfacing on the doors, apparently have been influenced by the Lamborghini Countach. I'm not really seeing that, to tell you the truth. Now, as standard, the range kicks off with 16-inch alloy wheels, which will look terrible, but they go all the way up to 19s. At the front, depending on which model you get, the light design is ever so slightly different. This part here, the graphic on it changes. Quite like that feature. Yet again, being the S-Line, you get a sportier front bumper than normal, but all cars get the big Audi grille, of course. And if you're in America, you don't have to have a number plate, so it looks much cooler. It's really good. I like the design of this car, actually. But once again, look, bit of fakery there. You only get it on the S-Line, though. Don't know what it is with Audi. They're trying to outdo Mercedes now for the fakery. Shame, because I think this looks really smart. It's instantly recognisable as an A3. It just looks more modern and cooler than the old car. Hopefully it's the same story inside. Well, it certainly looks new, though I actually think I prefer the design of the old car. It's just a bit more classy. Now, I do actually like this part of the dash, the bit that the passenger gets to see. Well, apart from this bit here. Before you ask, someone vandalised the dash by slashing it and then Audi had to quickly stitch it up before they sent the car out to us. This is a design feature. I think this has been inspired by Frankenstein's head. It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! While this area apparently has been inspired by yet another Lamborghini, the Urus. The way the vents are up there. I don't think it works, it just looks a bit odd. Another thing that's annoying is that depending on where you have the steering wheel, the top of the wheel can cut off the top of the dials, which is very Peugeot-esque. Now there is plenty of adjustment in the driving position, so you can sort of like work your way around it by jiggery-pokery with the steering wheel and the seat, but really you shouldn't have to do that, and it's quite an unusual thing on a German car. Quality is a bit unusual as well. Some of the bits feel really nice. Then there's bits that are a bit cheaper, and then down here it's all a bit scratchy, and yet again, the old car seemed a little bit more premium with its materials. It's no worse than a Mercedes A-Class, but a BMW 1 Series definitely feels that it's been made from more expensive materials. And if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. Speaking of the BMW, it also has a better infotainment system than this one in the Audi. Now, it's not bad, and the processor in it is loads quicker than in the old car, and it moves between screens pretty swiftly, and the satellite navigation is easy to use. Plus, I like the way that they've moved the climate controls out of the touchscreen into physical buttons so they're easier to operate while you're driving along, which is great news. But the graphics are a bit dark and miserable. At least you get this big, huge screen as standard, and you also get digital dials as standard, the ones on this car actually. Now you can pay extra to have them widened by an inch or two, which does seem appealing, but you don't really need it. Now with a Mercedes A-Class, you start off with two small screens, then you have to steadily upgrade to make it look good. That's perfectly fine. I'm impressed by that. Now you can obviously scroll through different views and make it go widescreen, which is all very nice, and it's easy to use as well. And you can do things like control the volume here like that from the steering wheel. The thing is that there's a little pad here very close to the passenger where they can control the volume and pick the track. So you're going to end up in those arguments where they're taking control if they don't want to listen to a song that you enjoy and they don't like. You've got some USB ports there so you can charge your mobile devices, and the tray is big enough to even hold, look, the big Samsung phones. There's pointless storage under here. Then there's the cup holders. They've tried a new design with the cup holders. So this flips out so you can put a bottle in there and it'll supposedly hold it badly. Then you've got a glove box that's average in size. You've got a little storage area there, which is quite handy, but you'll probably lose your keys in there. And the door bins are large enough, like that. Look, big bottle fits in them. Anyway, let's check out the back seats. So, here in the rear of the A3, you'll see that there's plenty of knee room. Headroom's good as well. People over 6 foot should be fine. Part of the reason for that is that the seats are lower here in the back than before. That does help things. Also, the middle seat, it's okay to sit in when you're on your own. But when you get 2 people either side, because the roof slopes in at the sides, they're going to end up having their heads squished like that, so it's not going to be great, really. I'll tell you something else that's not great. Look at this, right? If you fold down the armrest, you've got exposed cup holders there, so you end up putting your arms in them. On the previous A3, that had a cover on it, so it wasn't an issue. And I think this is part of bits of penny pinching that Audi's having to make on its cars these days. You see, it's had to pay huge fines for the emissions scandal, so it's having to cut costs here and there. Another example of that is the door tops here. Scratchy plastic, like in the back of a budget car. So the premium feel doesn't fully extend everywhere. It does in terms of these leather seats. When I say leather seats, they're part leather, part fake leather, which isn't really going to appease the vegans, is it? Because you can't part kill a cow. This seating is available in sport trim and above, and you get some sport seats in the front as well, which are very comfortable. Last thing I need to tell you about the rear seats is what it's like to fit a child seat. So if you've got one of those big, bulky, rear-facing seats, you're going to have to move the front passenger seat forward. But that's the case on all of these kind of cars. And once you've got it in, you've done that, it's very easy to fit. The ISOFIX anchor points are exposed the whole time, so there's no covers to flip up or to flip out and lose, which is good. Finally, you have decent sized door bins in the back, some storage, 12-volt socket, though it is a bit of a miss that this car hasn't got USB ports. It's just an old-fashioned 12-volt car. Okay, boot. Sportback in Audi speak means hatchback. So this car is easier to load than the saloon version of the A3. So yeah, it's not too much hassle to lift my electric bicycle out the way like that. Yeah. Excuse me. And the space in terms of litrage is 380 litres, which is about average for this size of car. So exactly the same as the old A3 Sportback, and the BMW 1 Series, and a smidge bigger than the Mercedes A-Class, but not enough to really actually mean anything. If you're having trouble conceptualising the literages, well, in layman's terms, you can fit 5 airplane carry-on luggage cases in the boot of this car quite easily. Now you might be thinking, when you're lifting your bike out, Matthew, it looked a bit of a struggle because of the load lip, but you can reduce that by, look, raising up the false floor, which you can then store things under there, such as the load cover, because lo and behold, it does fit. Well done, Audi, got that right. Now if you need to carry longer items, you can, look, fold down that central seat so you can have 2 passengers either side, or if you want to carry really big items, you just fold down all the seats, and then they lie almost completely flat and you have a continuous floor, so it's quite easy to just slide things to the front. There's some extra features here in the boot, a couple of tie down points here over that side, a hook there for your shopping bag, and a 12-volt socket. One thing that I've noticed is that on the old A3, this was covered in shiny metal, which looked posh, whereas this is just boring plastic, which is yet another example of cost cutting. And that brings on to 5 annoying things about the new Audi A3. A3s with 150 horsepower or more have fully independent rear suspension. Those with less than 150 horsepower don't. They have a beam joint in the wheels, and it's a bit like having them kind of tied together. They're just a little less free to move. It's not so sophisticated or good for dealing with bumps when you're going fast around corners. Go. As this is a German car, the buttons down here are set up for the driver being sat there, and they haven't moved them across for right-hand drive cars, which means that the mode for the different driving settings is a little bit hard to hit when you're driving along. Now in the past you could get around this because you could assign the driving mode button to this special configurable button on the steering wheel, but Audi has stopped doing that and it can only do certain things with the navigation and radio now, which is annoying. This bit of trim is shiny and it's angled towards you, the driver. And when you're moving along, you get all like reflections flickering in it, and I'll illustrate it now by trying to create a flickering effect. Look, I'm flickering, I'm in your eye line, it's distracting, you might crash, oh my God. Yeah, you see what I mean? Yeah. The design of the door handles is actually pretty clever, but it will take a little while to get used to because your muscle memory will tell you to open them like that, and it's just all the wrong angle, and if you do it too often you're going to get RSI. You see, you're supposed to open them like that, then it works, but I'm not sure how long it's going to take you to just get used to doing it that way around. You can open the car using your Android phone, which is really handy as it means you don't need to carry a key in your pocket. Well, you will still have to if you're in Great Britain. In fact, I just cheated then, I used the key. Because that facility isn't available in the UK. I'm not sure if that's the Germans giving us a sneaky little kick in the for bailing on Europe.
It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car.
Audi's engineers have given this car a flat underside to make it slip through the air as efficiently as possible to maximise fuel economy. As a result, it has a drag coefficient of 0.28 CD, which obviously will mean nothing to you unless you're an engineer. All you need to know really is that this car is more aerodynamic than the BMW 1 Series, and that's all that really matters. All Audi A3s get something called progressive steering. As a result, you can go from lock to lock in just 2 turns, which is great when you're manoeuvring. However, when you just turn the wheel a bit, the wheels actually turn very little, so it never ever feels twitchy when you're on the motorway. On most cars, the brake pads always touch the disc slightly, so that as soon as you touch the pedal, they engage nice and quickly. Trouble is, that does cause friction and it reduces your economy ever so slightly. So what Audi has done is move the pads slightly off the disc so you don't have that friction loss, and then fitted an electric booster so that when you touch the pedal, they do still engage pretty much instantly. On the old A3, you had to prop up the bonnet with a brace, kind of budget car style, but they've gone premium for the latest one. It's held up on a gas strut, darling. You can upgrade the A3 with a Bang & Olufsen stereo with 15 speakers and 680 watts of power. 4 of the speakers are actually in the dash and they bounce sound off the windscreen. Then there's a special algorithm which creates a concert hall effect, and apparently it's been developed with the Fraunhofer Institute. Now, I have no idea what the Fraunhofer Institute is. Well, I know it could be a body responsible for the quality of bratwurst, but it sounds impressive. Now let's talk about the engines. So there's a 1 litre turbo petrol with 110 horsepower, that's a manual only. Then there's a 1.5 litre turbo petrol with 150 horsepower, which you can get as a manual or an automatic. Then there is an S3 version, a high performance version with all-wheel drive, which has a 2 litre turbocharged engine with 310 horsepower, that's automatic only. Then you can get a 2 litre diesel with a manual gearbox, that's 115 horsepower, or a 2 litre diesel with an automatic gearbox that has 150 horsepower. Those are all front-wheel drive, by the way. Only that S3 version is all-wheel drive for now. Okay, so it's all a bit confusing with the engines, and in terms of the trim levels, there's Technic, Sport, S-Line, which is what this car is, and Vorsprung, which is fully loaded. I'm not going to bore you with all the details of the equipment, so instead what I'm doing is building my ideal Audi A3 engine trim level combination with the carwow configurator. I'm going to see what kind of offer I can get back on that car for you, and if you want to find out what it is and what the car is exactly, click on the pop-out banner up there to go to carwow, because I'm not going to tell you here. No, I'm not. We've got to get on with the driving. This particular car has the 1.5 litre turbo petrol engine in, and I want to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. So I'm going to time it using my specialist timing gear here. Got the car stability in sports mode. Might help me. We'll find out. Let's do it. Come on, little car. Oh, all right, start. Come on! Give me a good number. What's it going to do? Oh, 0 to 60 in 9.48 seconds. Audi actually says it'll do it in 8.4, but not with me driving. And I don't think I'll do much better either. When it comes to driving in town, This A3 is super easy. The steering's light, the gear shift, a bit notchy, but light. Pedals, light. Get good visibility as well, even out the back window. And you get parking sensors as standard, so it's easy to park. It's good over bumps and speed humps as well, because the suspension is nice and soft. This particular car, being the S-Line, has lowered stiffened suspension. It's lower by about 15 millimeters. It is a bit firmer than the normal setup, and you can fit that to S-Line models if you really want to, but I wouldn't bother. Reason being, part of the appeal of this car is how it looks, and it just looks better on the lowered sport suspension, and it's a small price to pay, the slight compromising comfort for the added looks. It's a bit like choosing to wear some shoes rather than trainers. They're not quite as comfy, but they just look smarter. Now when you get on the motorway, drop the car down a gear, into third, pull it from 40 miles an hour. What's it like? Come on. It's not the quickest, as I've already illustrated, but it does pull steadily, and it's got enough punch to overtake without too much fuss when you're up to motorway speeds. The engine's quiet as well. In fact, the whole car is quiet, and it's comfortable. These seats are lovely. The sport seats you get with S-Line models, look, whoop, yeah, I like them. That's good too. Another thing that's good is the economy. I'm getting 44 miles per gallon out of this engine. I'm happy with that. Finally, let's see what this car's like on a twisty road. Now, I'd like to put it in sports mode, but I can't really see the button when I'm driving. And anyway, it doesn't make much difference. What's it like when you chuck it at a corner? Yeah, the steering's sharp, it responds. And this thing just seems to grip and go round. I could complain that it's not exactly playful. So when you lift off the accelerator, it won't move around and change its attitude. Motoring journalists love that sort of thing, but it's not so great if you're going quickly around a corner and a deer suddenly pops out in front of you and you lift off the accelerator suddenly in panic and the car goes, "Ooh, you want to play?" and then goes sideways off the road. No, this thing will just kind of stay calm and we will maintain our current course. Stay on track, plough through the deer, it'll die but you'll be fine. Audi would rather kill deer than its customers. And anyway, for most customers, their idea of fun is just being able to go around a corner quickly without feeling scared, and this car will do that for you. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Audi A3 Sportback? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the new A3. I'm not the biggest fan of the interior design, but I really like the outside, and it's a good all-round car. It's kind of what you expect from an A3, really. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Also, comment below any kind of other videos you'd like us to do. If you want to watch some more videos, click on the windows there. And if you click on the box, you can download the carwow app. It's completely free. You can use it to browse all our reviews and see how much money we can save you on a new car. On average, we can save £3,600. That's right. Also, it has a special number plate reader, so you can scan any car's number plate and it'll tell you how much that car is currently worth. Download it, it's completely free.